Everyone, Mr. Song Smasher back with another Crossout tutorial video. Today I'm going to be showing you how to build this mini lorry. I've had this build for quite a few years, so it's fairly old, and I made it with the intent of hoping the devs add another lorry cab the size of WWT1, but in its place I've used yokozuna, which still fits this build very nicely. So let's not waste any time. Get right into the construction. Now this is my second take of rebuilding this build and taking this video, because the first time I didn't even hit record. I built the whole damn thing talking my way. And I wasn't even talking to anyone. So what you're going to do is you're going to get a 8x4 frame, and you're going to get some low clearance wheels and place them in the very far corners, such as this. This is vital for later steps of the construction. Now let's get the star of the show, the big old Yoko. Place it on the front as far back as you can. Make sure that it is 3 pins onto the frame. I mean, if there are 4 pins touching the frame, it's too far backwards, and it means you've placed your front wheels too far backwards on the frame. It needs to look like this, with again more 3 weld points in front, with another unweldable pin space in front of the frame. Next, just to fill in some blanks, you're going to get some drones. You can use any 2x4x4 drones for this. Where are they? Personally, I'm going to use fuses because I prefer them over the others. Or you could use some shields. I know there's a shield module which has the same, I guess, size parameters as this. You could use a sidekick, a phantom, or maybe one of them turret modules. But personally, I'm going to use fuses. And so don't forget to place them in a way that they will spawn on either side of your build. Just like so. So they will both activate at the same time. This is just a little bit of defense, so if noobs start attacking you, you can just deploy some drones and use the cab's ability to zoom off. Now, to start the actual construction, I'm going to need to go down to the scavengers pieces, get some corner platforms and place them upright on the rear of the cab. Just like so. Whoops. So there'll be needing to be a 1 pin above the actual cab itself, but also being pressed up against it. After that, you're going to get some APC roof parts while having them upside down, just like so. Placing them behind the corner panels. So these, I guess, hook attachment points are facing downwards. This is so the part transitions cleaner onto the pieces above it. And then after that, you're just going to use the rest of your corner platforms and place them on the rear like so, with only 1 pin of space touching the APC roof parts, that being the very bottom pin of the corner platforms, just like they are on the front. Next off, before we do the walls, you're going to need some vital hardware. You're going to get a Maxwell radar, a car jack. Both of these will need to be vertically upwards, otherwise they won't fit in the build, or they could be stacked horizontally like that, but personally I'm going to keep them vertical. And next, you're going to get your engine. You're going to get I'm going to use a fin whale. Personally, I would use a Jaguar, but unfortunately I haven't unlocked it yet from the current season pass. So as the fastest engine that I currently own, I'm going to use a fin whale. But you could just as easily use a cheetah or an Oyabun. So let's get our fin whale back. And then to start the walls of the box, you're going to need some... Go back to the scavenger's pieces and get some half walls. Place them on the front half of the box. It's the name half wall. And you'll need these facing upwards with the warning stripes at the bottom. Same with these next two parts, the quarter walls. You'll need to fill in the other rear half of each wall just like so. This is so we can have a stripe going over the box later on in the build with some paint. And now finally for the roof, you need to go up to your nomads part, which isn't that far up, and get some avia slopes and place those on top of the quarter container pieces just like so, with some regular avia panels between those avia slopes. Now to finish this half, there are larger pieces, so you're going to need an avia wide slope. Place those to over the top of the half walls with a large avia panel to fill in that big gap right there. And to finish off the box completely, you're going to get some braces. Place one on the rear and one on the front, as well as getting a fishing rod and placing it to the front right of the rear brace. Just like so. And to finish off using braces, we're going to get two more and place them above the rear wheels like this, making sure there's 2 pins of space behind them on the APC roof parts. This is what we would place, where we will place the next item, the small truck slopes. I know that they're not called small, they're just called truck slopes, but you'll need to place them like so, upside down and with the slope facing towards the rear wheel, with these 1x2 flat spaces facing backwards. This is where you'll place your tail lights. Now you can use any tail lights, you could use the brake lights, you could use 2 fevers, just like so. Personally, because these are rectangular shaped, I'm going to use the regular tail lights, just like that, with the indicators facing inwards. Now, starting this in-between part, this is where we'll start constructing the rear bumper, I suppose. I'm going to go up to your engineer's parts, get a van ramp, make sure it's upside down with the slope facing downwards to the floor, while having the 1x4 pin space with the rack on either side facing backwards on the build. This is where you'll place your license plate and some rover mirrors. So starting with the rover mirrors, you're going to need to place a right one on the left upside down and a left one on the right upside down. And in between you can place the newest license plate, the prototype 001, because the space fits it perfectly. This is a recent addition I've had to the build. I know I said earlier I've had this build for years, but this is where I've decided to add it quite recently when they added this new decor item, which, thank you devs, by the way. I love the new license plate. I love that they are adding more license plate. Now I'm going to go back to your engineer parts, get a running board and place it upside down again, just underneath what you've just constructed, making sure it's centered onto your drones and is on the bottom half of your drones as well. And if you built everything correctly, it should look like this. Now, just to finish off the rear, we're going to do the underside of the rear now. I'm going to go down to the hot rod ports and get a hot rod grill, while making sure the top lip of it is on covering the underside of the running board, meaning the top step of the running board, which is currently upside down. And then behind that hot rod grill and between the frame, which you will need this one wide space here. If you haven't got this 1x1 wide space here, you've done it wrong. And in that space, you'll need a barrel quarter with the pins touching the frame and the slope facing towards the hot rod grill as well as facing downwards. So that is the rear and the box complete. Actually, no. There's one more detail we need to add to the rear on the box itself. Just going to go down and get a service ladder. Place it on the left like this, making sure there's one pin space on the corner platforms above it. This is where we will place 2 round brake lights, one on the right and one on the left, just like so. And with this 2x4 space here, we can get a road sign. Doesn't really matter which road sign you're going to use. On the original, I used Baby on Board, which is a fairly rare sign. You could use Route 250. You could use Maintenance, which is a fairly nice sticker and would fit the build quite well. You could also put No to Ravagers as a bit of novelty. But for this one, I'm going to put Warning Crossout, signifying that this box is carrying the Crossout virus. Now to start covering the cab, this won't take much long. You'll need the license X09 license plate. Place it just in the center of your yokozuna, just underneath the headlights, not above it, like that, not too far down. I know, Wade, this license plate is a very pretty part, which is why I'm very thankful and glad they are adding them. Make sure it's just in the center, in the top right of the radiator. Next, starting with the top, this will only require one piece. It's a fairly simple piece, very nice piece. I wish we could get 2 of them, but you're going to need to grab your pill and rotate it so it is facing this way as a sort of fairing, and add a little bit of more aerodynamics to the actual cab itself, even though aerodynamics doesn't exactly matter in this game. Just adds a nice little bit of realism. And for the wing mirrors, you could either use the Founder's wing mirrors, which are the side mirrors. Let me just demonstrate what they will look like. This is in case you don't have the Rover mirrors if you've used them on the rear already, which they are mandatory on the rear. But I'm going to put the Rover mirrors on here anyways, as they have a very nice fog light, which looks like an indicator, which is exactly why I put them on the rear. Now for the front underside, this is very, very, very simple. You're going to get a catch bumper, make sure that it's upside down, but also rotated this way. This is because when this part is painted, this side of the catch bumper shows the least amount of rust, compared to this side where rust shows much more. And then in between the catch bumper and the frame, you'll need a wide truck slope. So you can have, I guess, quite self-explanatory, a slope from the bumper into the frame, so it looks less jarring. And now finally, we're going to build the underside side part here. Now what you're going to need to do is you're going to go up to your engineer parts and get a van ramp. Make sure it's upside down and facing outwards, just like so. Not like this, like we did on the rear. You do not want it looking like this. You want it looking like this, so we can put a tank pipe on the van ramp in a moment. But first, before we put the tank ramp on, we're going to need the catheter parts. This is because if you put the tank slope part, not the tank slope part, the tank pipe part on first, you will not be able to place the catheters, as there is a hitbox issue. Which, before we do the next part, this is the exact order you will have to do it, otherwise, you know, the build will be messed up. You're going to get a tank pipe and just place it in the middle of the van ramp, like so. Next, finally, we're going to get a control module from Dawn's Children. Make sure it is facing upwards, with the brown vent facing, well, I guess not facing, but the vent part on the outer sides of the build are also facing upwards. And then you're going to get another truck slope, another wide slope, which you can just copy paste onto the underside, just like that from the front. Now we're going to repeat this process on the other side of the build, so let me just copy paste the van ramp, place it like so, as well as the catheter parts. Just copy pasting everything exactly how it is, and you will need to remove your control module if you intend to copy paste it like I am. But if you don't want to remove the module to get the tank pipe, you can just go into your inventory to grab it. Very simple indeed. Just copy pasting everything. Now structurally, this build is complete. You can decorate it how exactly you want it, but just to make it look like the original, I'm going to recreate how the livery is and the sticker patterns on the original, just for you guys to see what it looks like in a livery. Though I'm not fussy if you guys decide to add your own. In fact, I would love to see what you guys do if you decide to build this and put your own custom liveries on it. So you're going to go down to your paints, get your camouflage desert if you want to replicate the same livery as I am. You're going to paint the middle avia slopes and quarter panels just like that. This is so you can add the stripe that I mentioned earlier. Then you're going to go down to the bottom and get your crust paint. Paint the APC roof parts and paint the remaining avia panels and avia slopes, just like so. And just for a little bit of variety, I'm going to paint the ducktail, not the ducktail, the fishing rod with the rust paint. Not quite sure why the ducktail name came into my head just then. But once that is done, again, you're going to need to move these control modules so you can reach into the tank slope, paint the tank, not the slope, the tank pipe and the van ramp, paint them in gladiator skin, as well as painting the control module and the wide slope. This process also gets mimicked on the opposite side. You do not need to paint the catheter parts in any paint. Now continuing with gladiator skin, you're going to need to paint the front wide slope and also paint the catch bumper, which here you can I can demonstrate the rust effect which I mentioned previously. As you can see, there is minimal rust on this side, but maximum rust on the other. It's day and night, so that is why I have that painted specifically that way. Not painted, positioned. What am I saying? And then finally, you're going to paint the barrel quarter piece, just like so. Now, paint-wise and structure-wise, this is a very complete build. But a build is not complete without stickers. So let's get straight into that business. Starting with the shield or on the shield as a badge, because every vehicle has a badge. I'm going to use the showing the grid feature to get the sticker centered. I'm going to do the exact same method with the dangerous cargo sticker. There we go. I'm going to shrink it a bit so the dangerous spanner is in between these two rust lines, as you can see there. I'm going to enable the grid so I can have that exactly centered, and I'm going to do that on the other side as well. Just like so. Just to indicate that that stuff being contained in this box may be considered hazardous. I don't have these stickers on the original. I don't have the box coated in stickers on the original, but I do have some. But I'm just placing these as a demonstration. You can also get the demolition in progress sticker, get it to its smallest size, and place it in the top front of the APC parts, just like so. And for some extra warnings on the rear, you can go up and get some founders stickers. I'm going to use roadwork ahead and place that in the bottom left of the rear corner platform. And next to that, I'm going to place a do not block sign. Seems like I need to readjust the positions a bit. There we go. And just for some unit numbers, because every lorry or construction vehicle has a unit number, I'm going to grab the number 1 sticker. Make it so, resize it so it fits in the opposite side of the rear corner platform. And then copy paste that to the front of the cab underneath these two, what I'm assuming is a ventilation holes, even though there is a grill right here. Just going to place that in the center of those. Just like that. And now for some novelty stickers. I'm going to get the Bite Me sticker. Place that on the bottom left. Bottom right of the rear corner panels. I'm going to get the Jack sticker. Place it just here on the front right of the large avia panel. And I'm going to add a Ratata on the left side of the yokozuna cab underneath the ladder. And I'm going to place it on this rectangle here. Now, your yokozuna micro lorry is complete. Again, if you want to build this game for yourself, this is exactly why I do these videos. Feel free to replicate any of my tutorial vehicles if you feel like it. That's exactly why I post them. And if you have any other designs that you want to show me, if you see me online and see me in Bedlam, feel free to get my attention so you can show them off to me. Thank you to DUBBY for continuing to partner with me. Use code PROTOBEE in their shop to save 10% off your order and to help out my channel, so I can continue doing these videos as well as keeping my stomach fed and happy. Thank you guys so much for watching. Goodbye.